Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Elaine.
So it looks like we've got the participants are all getting logged in. So excited for today's session.
Yeah, welcome everybody who's just now signing on. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy and at home, snuggled up with your pups and your family. Yeah, we're just happy to be able to broadcast these and talk to everybody as much as we can.
Totally. Well, I want to welcome everyone and say thanks for joining 10 Minutes with 52 Limited. My name is Elaine Sheh. I'm the Community Engagement Manager. 52 Limited is a creative and tech staffing agency that has been locally owned and operated for almost 15 years. Our recruiters are always sharing with our talent tips and tricks to assist them in finding their next role. And online interviewing is becoming more and more common. And so we thought we would take this opportunity to talk about best practices. So today's guest speaker is our very own Amanda Bolint. She is a senior technical recruiter here at 52 Limited. And she's had almost 10 years of experience recruiting, and she's going to share her wonderful ideas of how to present yourself well while interviewing online. Amanda?
Thank you, Elaine, for that wonderful introduction. And again, hello everybody that joined. Thank you so much for taking the next 10 minutes out of your day to chat with us. As Elaine said, I'm a senior technology recruiter. I've been in the technology sector for about 9 years. And as you all know, most interviews right now are being conducted online, either phone or Zoom, Google Hangouts, Skype, all of those platforms are being utilized very heavily right now. And it's not just important to consider all of this during an outbreak such as COVID-19. I think the landscape of interviewing is going to change significantly as a result of this outbreak, but it was already kind of making the move towards more and more virtual interviews. Companies like them because they're cheaper, more time efficient. They can be a little bit more flexible for those who work from home or on different schedules or different parts of the country or even the world in some cases. So it allows for a lot more flexibility for the interviewers and the interviewee. You'll want to demonstrate in any virtual interview your adeptness at working with and using the technology. So being able to log into a Zoom call and efficiently communicate and kind of show that you can maintain a presence online. You'll also want to still build rapport, have relaxed professionalism, and show your ability to react and communicate under pressure. Also, sometimes it's important to be able to show how you collaborate. A lot of times companies, especially with developer interviews, will do some sort of screen share or a project or a test. So it's nice to be able to show how you can ask questions and collaborate with the team that you may be joining. I am not great at this yet, but I'm working on it. But one thing is to be sure to look at the camera as much as possible because it simulates eye contact. I know that's really counterintuitive considering that, you want to look at the image of the person that's on the screen in front of you. But again, it'll simulate eye contact and make you more comfortable and approachable to the interviewer. Put on interview attire. Definitely don't show up to your interview in your pajamas. You'll want to actually kind of do your normal routine, dress as if you want this job, dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. I always recommend for people in any interview setting to have a glass or bottle of water near you because likely you'll be talking a lot more than you maybe have been in the last couple of weeks or months by the time this is over. And you'll be a little bit less nervous if you have something to hold on to or have a crutch. However, don't drink too much caffeine or water before your interview. I mean, obviously be hydrated, but you also don't want to have to take a bio break in the middle of your call. building virtual rapport is a lot easier, I think, than you would anticipate. Again, if you kind of maintain the eye contact with your camera, smile, be comfortable. At least you don't have to be next to them in person. So I think that there's a little bit more ease there. Have a brief elevator pitch ready and prepared about yourself, talk about your interests, and just know that typical interview etiquette doesn't change. That being said, I think interrupting is a huge concern. It's much harder to tell when somebody has a strange connection or you notice a lag to tell if that person has finished answering the question and is ready for you to respond. If you have any hesitations or concerns about that, just wait about 3 to 5 seconds before either responding, or it's totally appropriate to ask for a question to be repeated. This is very important and maybe doesn't need to be said, but just something to keep in mind. Don't look at your phone. Don't toggle through other tabs. Stay as focused and present in the moment. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you, and the more that you're able to see any sort of visual cues, there's lots of things that you miss, I think, from being in a virtual interview, so you'll want to pay extra attention. Another thing is technology will stall. I've noticed, especially in the past week, while everyone's kind of on virtually interacting with their teams on Slack, Zoom, all of the things, the internet's been a little bit laggy. So if your technology stalls out, try to log back in as quickly as possible. Text, email, do everything you can to engage. The worst thing you can do is just sit there and kind of wait for a response. So do the best that you can, make all efforts quickly. That concludes kind of what I wanted to talk about. We have a few minutes for Q&A, so I would love to open it up to any questions I can try to answer in the next couple of minutes.
For those of you participants, it looks like we have a raised hand. Where did you go? If you would go ahead down on the screen, down on the toolbar below, there's a Q&A box, and you can select that box and you can type your questions in. We have one attendee who has their hand raised. Oh, here's the question. Donald Carson asks, any special sauce that video interviewing actually gives you an advantage on?
I think so. I'm pretty introverted, so I actually enjoy this type of interaction. Most of the work that I do is over the phone and via email and sometimes video. So if you're somebody that's not super comfortable presenting in person, this is kind of a good way to segue into that and be comfortable and start practicing talking to interviewers. But yeah, I think there is some advantage of being by yourself, being present and composed. I think that definitely gives you an advantage.
Do you see Giovanni's question about hand gestures, suggestions?
I think Giovanni, it depends. I think if I'm raising my hands and my computer screen is up kind of near my eyes, it looks probably a little distracting. So if you have your computer properly placed, so you're engaging and you're looking at your camera, you won't see hand motions anyway. But if you're a gesturer, be comfortable, still do your gestures, but maybe not something that you really want to throw into the camera, if that makes sense, now that you can kind of see it.
We've got a question about interviewing from your house and what's the most appropriate or neutral room to use.
Ooh, that's going to depend totally on the person. For example, I have dogs, so I need to go into a separate room and close them out and make sure that they're not going to interrupt me during this type of meeting. So I would go to the quietest room in your house, make sure that that's a room that you have strong internet connection, make sure it's not terribly far from your router. And then again, be able to have your computer up at around, chest level so that you can have eye level at the camera.
Dylan asks, What would your recommendation be for following up on applications or conversations that were being had prior to the quarantine?
Ooh, let's see. So I think you still want to follow kind of common interview etiquette and follow up strategies. I think following up every week is appropriate. I think right now, don't be too expectant of quick communication back. If your conversation started prior to the quarantine, don't take offense to it. Companies are figuring out a lot right now. So continue to just keep applying and keep your feelers out there. Follow up appropriately. Again, once a week I think is pretty typical. And if you can make it a phone call instead of an email, I think sometimes that puts a little bit more urgency into it.
We're going to take 3 more questions to honor the 10 minutes. The first of which is, what is the best cropping for the interview?
Oh, I'm just going to make a guess that this is kind of in relation to like where you want your face and on the screen. If you look at how Elaine and I have been presented during the course of this meeting, we actually hosted a webinar with Gigi Rosenberg last week. She gave us tips on how to kind of appropriately position your camera. I think you want to be centered. Think of it as like a yearbook picture. So if you're in like the yearbook picture mode, I think that's the optimal crop. That's where you want to be. Have like a nice simple background. Probably not best to have like your Jimi Hendrix poster in the back. As awesome as that is, you want something very simple, and again, like kind of think of it as a yearbook photo.
What about taking notes? How do you do that without, seeming like you're still paying attention, but getting all of the information down?
Yeah, I think in that case, like pay attention and look at the screen or look at your camera as much as possible. But also maybe at the beginning of the interview, let them know, hey, I'm going to be taking notes because I want to stay engaged and keep all of this in my memory. So if I look away for a moment, just know that that's what I'm doing. That way it makes the interviewer comfortable and they then know you're not distracted.
What about, and this is kind of just a re-ask, but just more specific about losing connection. If you lose connection and you can't get back to the virtual session, do you suggest calling the person back, or do you wait for them to call you back? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would absolutely, if you have their contact information, you initiate that as quickly as possible. I think the worst thing, and what I've seen this happen pretty frequently, is a lot of folks will just wait to kind of hope that the interviewer will re-engage, and sometimes they will. Sometimes they're really, really on it, but I think that also shows really, really great initiative to sign back in and try to re-engage as quickly as possible, because you want to demonstrate your interest and, again, adeptness with the technology and being able to communicate virtually. So I would certainly re-engage as soon as possible if you have their contact information. If you don't have direct contact with them, that is very difficult. Contact your recruiter, do the best that you can to engage with whoever initiated the interview to start.
Which I think is a great kind of segue to the last and final question posed by Erin, which is for interviewers that you don't have direct contact with, again, potentially engaging with the last person that you spoke to might be the best course of action. Or what do you think about follow-up in regards to not having direct contact information?
Yeah, I think, again, that's something I would follow up with the person that initiated the interview, because, you'll have that invite or at least contact information from whoever initiated things to start with. So follow up with them right away. You may not have the direct email for the hiring manager that you're talking to, but you'll certainly be engaged with an HR representative or a recruiter.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda, for your time today. Those of you that may be looking for new opportunities, please be sure to check out the 52 website, or you can email your resumes to info@52ltd.com, and I'll share with the recruiters. I hope everyone is happy and well, and we hope to see you again with 10 minutes with 52 Limited. Thanks.
Thank you. And a quick shout out, my friend from London is on the call. So thanks for all of you that attended today. Nice to have a bit of a global presence. So hey, Kika, hey, and everybody stay safe.
Stay safe, everyone. Thanks.